I think there's a lot of confusion about what Chat GPT is and how we should feel about it and how it thinks, etc., etc. And so I thought I'd provide some kind of understanding that I've found out through talking to Chat GPT about how it works and what it is. Because I thought that I could use Chat GPT almost like Google, kind of like fact checking or, sourcing correct information, etc., etc. But what it actually is a calculator. ChatGPT takes input of words, uses pattern recognition to then output other words, like a calculator would do with numbers, but it does it with words instead. It has studied many different texts and different sources of information, but it doesn't pull out necessarily facts. It pulls out information that would make sense. That's what it told me. It's a pattern recognition, so it answers based on what would make sense to answer, but not necessarily what is true. And so that is why there's so much bias around ChatGPT. And when you're seeing these people talking to ChatGPT and then posting it online, and if you asked ChatGPT the exact same question that person asked it, your ChatGPT wouldn't give you the same answer, because your ChatGPT, the one that's on your phone, will give you an answer. I don't know if it's based on the previous conversations you had, but it will be entirely different, because it's not a fact. So that's why I thought it was quite kind of interesting and important to remember that ChatGPT is just a calculator. It's a calculator for words. It uses implicit learning rather than explicit. And if you don't know what that means, that's fine, because I also didn't know that. So explicit learning is what we humans do, which is we learn information, we process it, we understand it, we conceptualize it, right? We maybe apply it to our own lived experience, blah, 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 blah. Implicit learning is basically ChatGPT. That's what it uses, implicit learning. It sees a pattern, it recognizes a pattern, it then applies this pattern to what it says, but it doesn't understand what it's doing. It doesn't understand what this pattern means. It doesn't have lived experience, it doesn't have emotions, it doesn't have memory like we do. And so it doesn't understand what it's saying, basically. It simply follows a pattern that would be understood by humans. It's learned to talk like humans, basically, about stuff that it doesn't even understand.